Okay, welcome everyone. We are in Parshas VaYishlach. Okay, so I want to go through something that happens in the Torah portion that is very crucial to understand. It's after Yaakov gets wounded in his battle against the angel of Esav, and then it says he comes into a town called Shechem. Shechem's a place in Israel. You can go there today. Well, actually, you better be careful when you go there, because Shechem is sometimes a dangerous place. Okay, there's a Jewish component to Shiloh, but the city of Shechem is controlled by Arabs right now, and this is where Yaakov comes in after he's wounded. He comes to this place called Shechem, the city of Shechem, and it says in the text he came shalem, whole, into Shechem, and he then bought a field in Shechem. Okay, he bought it. He paid top dollar. Mea kesita. That's the number kesita, which we'll see is the same as the Talmudic called a ma'ah. We'll see why I'm telling you that word. The word ma'ah is from your innards, your ma'ayim. He bought it with 100 of this quality, this thing called kasita, which is a lot of money, but I'll explain there's a deeper meaning of mea kasita, 100 yearnings, because the Talmud says that the word kasita, the Kiva said, I went to Afriki, this place called Afriki, which may be Africa or maybe Turkey actually, and he heard they use the word kasita, and it's the word ma'ah. Ma'ah means a yearning. So he paid 100 kasita, or another way to explain it, he paid 100 yearnings to get this place in Shechem because he really wanted to buy this. Okay, and there he set up an altar, and he praised Hashem with this altar. Okay, that's the place of Shechem. And now we have the very, very terrible story of what happens to Dinah. Dinah then goes out. Dinah, the daughter of Yaakov. And the guy named Shechem, who's actually the prince of the city, his name is Shechem, he takes Dinah and he is ma'anes her. I don't say the word in English, but he rapes her and he abuses her in a very terrible ways the Talmud describes. Then what happens is that something bizarre happens, which is not the nature when these terrible ordeals happen. Shechem falls deeply in love with Dinah, which psychologically is not the case usually in these horrific acts. Usually the person afterwards, like in the story of Amnon, after he honest Tamar, then he despised her, because it's only physical animal act. So Shechem, who's like a wild animal, we'll see in a certain sense, and he attacks Dinah, it's bizarre that then he falls deeply in love with her. And the text says he wants to marry her and he'll do anything. And he talks, he speaks on her heart. He speaks to her and he says, I'll do anything for you. And then he goes to try to appease Yaakov and his children to marry them. All right, I'm not going to get into the whole story of what happened then, just to tell the story. Then what happens is that Yaakov, they hear that Dinah was Tima, that they abused Dinah in this terrible way, and the question is what they're going to do. And Yaakov waits, and the kids come back, and the kids say to Shechem and his father, whose name is Chamor, which means a donkey. It's not an accident. We'll see why. So he says to Shechem, the prince, and his father, the king, Chamor, he says, listen, we can't let you marry our daughter, Dinah, our sister, and because we're circumcised, you're not. Okay, you circumcise yourselves, and then, when we'll do it, we'll marry. You guys want us to become one nation, to come together. Okay, we could do it once you guys circumcise yourselves. That's what they say. And question is, what were they thinking? Were they thinking that the whole city was going to listen to this? Not so clear, but the city does listen to it. And then on the third day, when they were hurting from the circumcision, two of the brothers, Shimon and Levi, went out and killed the entire city of Shechem. And Yaakov is very angry at them. And I mean, we'll talk about it a little bit, but there's a halachic question. Did they do the right thing, the wrong thing? Were they allowed to, not allowed to do it? Was it a sin? Did they just kill people? Was it okay because they had observed this rape and kidnapping of their sister? But Yaakov, what was he thinking? Was he willing to like marry into them as one nation or not? It's not really clear what Yaakov, why he agreed to this idea, and then afterwards, then was angry at them for killing the people. So obviously he didn't know they were going to do this. What was he thinking? So I want to get into a little bit the story of Dinah, but I want to talk even more about the city of Shechem, because we see in this week's Torah portion this terrible episode of Dinah. And then in next week's portion, we're going to see that the whole story of Yosef. Yosef is going to be sold by his brothers. Where is he sold? He's sold from the city of Shechem. And the Talmud says the city of Shechem is Makkah Muchal Aparis. It's a place that is ready for negative things, for bad things to happen. And Talmud lists three of them. It says that Dinah was attacked in the city of Shechem. This happened to her. Yosef was stolen and sold in the city of Shechem. And then years later, when the kingdom of the Jewish people divided into two, right? The story is that King David and his son Shlomo has a son named Rechavam, and the people break away from him, and they split the tribes split, and there's two kingdoms: the northern kingdom, 10 tribes, and then the southern kingdom, and that split happens in Shechem. So Talmud says that Shechem is a place that's muchal leparonos. It's ready for bad things to happen. And it lists these three things. And another place it says that in Shechem there are a lot of murderers. Like I said, be careful when you go to Shechem today. It's a tough place. Now, what does that mean? What does that mean? Especially, not say a place in Israel's bad, God forbid. What does that mean? But Shechem has some special quality to it, something amazing that we need to understand. When Abraham comes to the land, he first goes to Shechem. He goes first. He wants to pray at Shechem for his children. He sees there's trouble. Yaakov came into Shechem and he buys the place of Shechem. It says Vaychana Ir. He made certain things in Shechem. It says he made the boundaries for Shabbat. He did different things to make the city good. And even, by the way, which is interesting in Shechem also, when the Jews come into the land of Israel and leave Egypt, the first place they come into when they cross the Jordan is they go to Shechem. They go to the two mountains to give the blessings and the curse. That's by Shechem. If you go there today, it's a fascinating place. You go to Shiloh, you'll see the two mountains. The Jews first came in. When they came into the land, they went onto the two mountains. One they gave the blessing, one they gave the curse. The cursed mountain, if you go there today, you'll see it's barren. It's an arid, there's nothing growing there. And the other mountain, Har Bracha or Har Grizim, that's all green. To this day, you can go see it. It's a fascinating sight. But it's weird that the Jews first went to those mountains when they first came into Israel. That's not by the Jordan. It's quite a way when you cross the Jordan River to get there. So I want to understand tonight a little bit about Shechem. What does it mean it's a place that's waiting for problems? And the three problems there are the story of Dinah, which we'll explain a little bit more tonight. The story of Dinah we'll get into somewhat. And then Yosef is going to be sold in Shechem. And then eventually the 10 tribes are going to break away from the two tribes, which is really the beginning of the end of the monarchy. I mean, it's really takes years till it falls apart, but it's the beginning of the end. It's the Jewish people split, and that happens in Shechem also. Okay, let's get into this a little bit. There are three places in Israel that were purchased with top dollar, and no one could argue they are ours. Okay, and the Torah tells you about the purchase. So obviously, they're very significant places. What are the three places? One is Jerusalem, where it says that David bought it from Arvana, right? In the book of Shmuel, it says David bought it. The other place that was bought with top dollar was the Ma'aras Machpelah, the cave of the patriarchs and matriarchs that Avraham bought a few weeks ago in the Parsha. And the third one is what Yaakov bought Shechem. Now, I want to explain to you a little bit. Let's talk about first Jerusalem and the cave of the patriarchs in Hebron to understand what that is, and then I will try to explain what Shechem is and the difference between what Shechem is. So first of all, the city of there's a very famous teaching, and in Israel everyone knows this. Basically, if you go up to Tzfat. Tzfat, this is the famous teaching of the Arizal, that there are 4 holy cities in Israel, and they parallel the 4 spiritual elements: earth, wind, water, and fire. Okay, you go up to Tzfat, everyone knows this. Why? Because they say this. There are 4 elements and 4 special holy cities in Israel. Hebron is earth. Okay, is earth. Earth is Hebron, which is a place that is made for burial sites. Okay, it's earth. That's where it is. If you notice, the person that sold it to Avram is named Ephron. His name is Afar, is earth. His name is earth. And that is the city where things go back into the earth. We'll see that's the burial ground. Okay? Then there is Tiberia. Tiberia is water. It's on the Kinneret, and it's the quality of water. And then you go into Tzfat, and they say, and Tzfat is air. And you see people in Tzfat, they're like, very, you got the Hasidim and the artists, and like they'll floating around there. It's air. And it is. It has a quality of air. The fourth of the holy cities is Jerusalem is fire. And it says Jerusalem was burnt, destroyed in fire, and will be rebuilt in fire. And if you ever go to Jerusalem, you feel the power of fire. It's not an accident. I remember years ago, I was I was driving. I used to live in the old city. I was driving out from the hotel, and there were these two Israeli guys hitchhiking, and they came into. I picked them up, and they were like, they sent me in Hebrew. They go, behodu. We came out of we were in India. They were living in India, and they had, let's put it nicely, they had kind of gotten rid of a lot of their brain cells there. They were a little spaced out, but they came and they go, it's so powerful here in Jerusalem. It's like fire. And they felt it. They felt like flipped out. And I said to them, yes, Jerusalem is the power of fire. It's also amazing. The person that David bought the land from is named Arvana, which is or, which is fire, which is light. Now, what is Jerusalem and Hebron, the earth one? Those two were bought with money. So what do those represent in terms of the deeper understanding? So we said Jerusalem is fire and Hebron is earth. Hebron is the place where the people are buried. Okay, the matriarchs and patriarchs are buried. And therefore what it is Hebron is the hidden place. Every person has the hidden part inside of them that can't be damaged. And then you have how you act, the part that's light, that's fire, that you can see. Jerusalem is the place when Hashem reveals himself. God shows you come to Jerusalem 3 times a year to see and to be seen. In other words, you come to the temple, you see, you experience godliness. It's the place of light, of fire. And therefore, fire is actually the element that's most easily put out because you can put it out. Earth, you can step on all you want, you can't destroy it. So Jerusalem is destroyed because it's the place where it has to be revealed. You have to act right, and we'll see what Jerusalem is. And the fire was put out, and the fire will be rebuilt. Hebron is the place where even when we're not acting good, not acting properly, we're still connected. It's hidden. The cave of the matrix and Petra is hidden. It's a cave underneath a cave. You can go there, but you can't get inside because it's buried underneath. The word Chevron, amazingly, these things are just unbelievable. The word Chevron, and you flip the letters around, it spells the word Churban. Churban means destruction. But flip the letters back, it's the word Chevron, Lechaber, it means connected. And that means even when the time of destruction of the temple, Chevron is still were connected. And that's why the mystical teaching is that all the souls, they go to Gan Eden, they go to the Garden of Eden, the spiritual one we mentioned a few weeks ago, they go through Chevron. So those two places are crucial to buy because they represent the Jews' connection to our ancestry, which cannot be broken no matter what. And then our positive acts where God will be revealed in Jerusalem in the place of the temple, and the light will be able to see through it. Those two places we understand are crucial. What's Shechem? What does the word Shechem mean? So it has a couple meanings, but one meaning is the Shechem is the top of your back. You can carry stuff. It says that a shore, a bull, his nicest part is his Shechem, his upper back, where you could put the load on. Right? There's a spot where people that know how to carry stuff, they can put it on their back. You're carrying things on your Shechem. That's what the word Shechem means. Shechem is the place that you can carry something. You have the power on the top part of your back. You can put stuff and carry. That's where the ox carries the load. So Shechem is the place of serious avodah, of work. Okay? Shechem is a certain place where we gotta buckle down and do what we have to do. Okay? And so therefore, we're going to see that in that place, Shechem has got a very important element, and it's got a somewhat dangerous element. And let me explain this. We've talked about this before, but I want to bring this here because it fits into this whole line of thinking we're talking about. If we go back to the first two human beings that were born in the world, we have Cain and Abel. And we've said many times they had two different approaches to life. Okay? Cain, the word Cain means kaniti, I've acquired something. That's what his mother Chava said. I've created a man. Now, beforehand, me and my husband, Adam, were created by God. Now we made a man. Kanit Isa Hashem. I have created a man with God. We gave the body, God put the soul in. So the word kayin means to acquire something. It's the same word of koneh, to acquire. It's the same word as, by the way, to be jealous. Now, why is it connected? Kayin, kina, koneh. Why? Because kayin is the person's I am a somebody. I am a somebody I can do. That is crucial to be able to function in life. If you think, like I'm a nobody, what am I? I'm not important, then you're not going to do anything. Kayin's important positive side is I am somebody. My mother said, I made a man, I acquired somebody, I've created something. So Cain therefore sees himself as being of importance, and therefore he could do things in life. And that's why Cain was the first one to bring the offering, right? Hevel didn't think of it. Even though in the story, Cain was rejected and Hevel's offering was brought, it was only after he saw Cain had the idea. Hevel didn't think of the idea. Cain did because he said, I'm a somebody. I got to do something in the world. I'm working the land. I'll bring an offering to God. He brought the wrong one. He brought the bad stuff, whatever. That's not the point right now. But there's a positive side in realizing our importance and that we can do it. There's a negative side, though, also, which is that when you give yourself more importance, then it leads to some negative traits like jealousy, kinna, anger. You got in my way. I have my things. I'm important. So it's a two-sided coin this quality of it's called yeshus, of knowing I am, I exist, I'm meaningful. It's a great thing, but it also can be a very negative thing, as we saw in the story of Cain. He gets jealous because, what do you mean? Hevel, on the other hand, is a completely different story. Hevel, the word means havel, means vapor, nothing. He didn't think that I could bring an offering. How can I bring an offering? I'm nothing. So on one hand, that's very bad. You didn't think you could do anything. You think you don't make a difference in the world. But on the other hand, then he's able not to let things go, because in a certain, so there's two sides of good and the bad of that also. Hevel's quality is, on one hand, he's humble because he doesn't think I should have everything. I could sort of join in with the crowd, I could be a backup singer. It's like in music, the guy who plays the bass is always like, you got to wonder about the personality, because he's saying I am in the back and I'm okay with that. You want to be all the way, I want to be in the front. No, I don't have to. I'm part of the thing. So on one sense, he doesn't have the importance of himself to do it. He doesn't bring the offering. But then when he does, he doesn't have to be the hot shot. He doesn't have to push himself in the front. He doesn't get angry. People, he doesn't think of himself with taking himself so seriously. If someone, steps on his toes, he doesn't freak out. Those are the two sides. Those two sides we need in our whole way of functioning. In our lives, we need both. We need to be able to think we are somebody, make a difference. But then when you start to do something, you start doing things, you start doing avoda, you start doing things, no matter what it is, even when it's good things. It's amazing. Even especially when it's good things, there's a tremendous danger. I went and I do this, I give charity, I'm a great person. So all of a sudden, you think you're doing great, but you've now damaged yourself because you can't have what's called hitbatlus. You can't nullify yourself because it's me. We need both. We need to push to do the positive side, and we need to let go and say, okay, I'm not, what? I don't want to sound depressing, but what am I? I'm great because I am a reflection of godliness in some way. That's what makes me great. Otherwise, I don't exist. I was made from nothing. So I don't take credit. And then I could have what's called hitbatlus to Hashem. I can nullify myself and become part of the greater experience of connection to God, because I don't have to have my separate existence. Shechem, we said, is the shoulder where you do the work to carry. There's another meaning for the word Shechem. We'll keep the question. We're going to do the questions at the end. We'll just keep in mind. So Shechem really has another meaning. Shechem, as it is the shoulder where you carry the stuff. But it says in the text, it says that Yaakov gave Yosef an extra portion. He called it Shechem. I give Shechem echad. I'm giving you another portion. So the word Shechem means a chelik, a portion. That's not an accident. It's the same exact idea, because it's the same thing. I'm carrying it. I make a difference, and I'm a somebody. I'm a Shechem. I'm a portion. This is the danger of the city of Shechem. It's the power of Shechem. We're not saying Shechem. We can't say a city in Israel is bad. God forbid. Doesn't make sense. But there's a danger in Shechem. In Shechem, it says it's nafishe rotzchim. There are a lot of killers in Shechem. There's a lot of killers in Shechem. Yeah, because I'm getting upset. You stepped on my toes. You got in my way. That's the quality of Shechem. But if it's not done in a positive way, it can be very dangerous. That's specifically why Avram came in to pray at Shechem first, because he said, this is a powerful place. It is the part of us that becomes human and could do something, but it also is a danger place. I see its danger in the future. Yaakov, he buys it. He says, I'm going to fix this up. He did things. It says he made bathhouses or made a coin, different things. But he did different things. But one of the things he did, it says he made the boundaries for Shabbat. He made it a place that could be settled. And that's why the Jews, when they first came in, they went to Shechem to say the blessings and the curses, because they had to get the care in that place that we're really important. We're commanded to do the mitzvot, you know? I mean, you hear sometimes people talking. It's like a little mind-boggling. But sometimes, yeah, I'm commanded to do the mitzvot. Yes, you should feel great about yourself, but not because of you. Because Hashem let you do it. Hashem chose you to do it. Hashem gave you the thing. What did you do? You know, what you did it. You chose yourself. Okay. Okay, Michelle, great seeing you too. We'll pick it up next time. So that is the problems. Now, listen, this is an amazing thing here. Tzaddik Cohen says. He says that's why. Look at the three things that happen in Shechem. Things that happen in Shechem, we know that there are different qualities of a person. We've talked about this many times. There is three things that take a person out of the world. There's desire, unbridled desire. There is jealousy, and there's honor. He says all three things happened in Shechem. The desire starts with the story of Dinah, the attack of Shechem on Dinah. The jealousy was with Yosef. They sold Yosef. That was in Shechem also. And the third one was honor. That was the story of the split of the 10 tribes. I'll explain to you what happened, but it was all because of honor. I'll tell you the story in a moment, how the 10 tribes split away, but you understand something. Now, when you think about this, this is quite fascinating. I was thinking about it today as I was preparing the class. I looked at the three things. I looked at this that Dinah was defiled in Shechem. Yosef was sold in Shechem, and then the 10 tribes broke away in Shechem. And I said to myself, you know what? There is such a clear connection between the two. We know the story. It says that Leah got pregnant after her 6th child. She was going to have a 7th child. And she's calculated that if this child is a boy, then I will have 7 tribes. The handmaids will have 2 each, and my sister Rachel will only have 1. She'll have less than even the previous handmaidens. It says that Dinah davened, she prayed, that the child should be a girl. The sages tell us that it was supposed to be a boy, and it turned out to be a girl. So who is the boy supposed to be? Who is the next tribe? It's supposed to be Yosef. Whoa. So the story of Dinah, we'll see, is connected to the story of Yosef. She's the first problem that happened in Shechem. Yosef is the second problem. And what's a third problem? What was it? How did the tribes divide? So what happened was, it was because of honor. It was like this. It was Shlomo had a son named Rechavam, and Shlomo had increased the taxes. And Shlomo was Shlomo. He was, he had built the whole thing. He was the greatest, great. And the people, when Shlomo died and his son Rechavam took over, they said, listen, we're going to follow you, but you need to lower the taxes. So he called in his advisors. He had the young advisors, his friends, and the old advisors. The old advisors said, listen, give in. Lower the taxes, get yourself established. You need to raise taxes later, raise it later. But that's not a way to go to people right now. The young guys said, no, if you let them give them a finger, they'll take a hand. So he came and he told the people, you think what my father did for you was tough before? I'm gonna make it 10 times as hard. And the people rebelled. And who did they follow? They followed someone named Yeravam, who was the descendant of Yosef. The split happens also about honor, but it happens around Yosef. The tribes follow this guy Yeravam, who is the breakaway from Yosef, who's now what's Yosef has to do with this whole story? Let's understand. So Yosef is this power of, he's called the tzaddik. He does, I am the person who does the right thing. Okay? And And I want to explain this a little bit deeper. It's the second. Let's try to understand. You probably heard many times people saying like, "Oh, there's someone's so dinny, they're so judgmental, and we associate the word din, judgment as a negative thing. I want to explain to you it's not. But that's where problems do start. Let me explain how this works. I said before, I'm a somebody, I'm going to do something. Now, there's two qualities in the world. One quality is I expand, that's called chesed. Another quality, I limit. I place boundaries on things. Placing boundaries on things is called din. For the women, in the women's class, we did it on the first session about sorrow. We explained how that's an important quality. It creates the framework of something, right? If you're expanding all over the place, you're not a thing because you're all over the place. So the quality of din gives its parameters. It limits. What's called Gvuras Kadoshim, holy judgment, is the limitation that we need to be able to function in the world. But if it goes wild, imagine a person who knows boundaries and he's very good about them. And he's not all over the place. He has his boundaries. But as you create more and more boundaries, you become obsessive, like, stop, no, it has to be this way, it has to be that way. And it turns into control. That's what it turns into. Yosef was the master of self-control. But you see how self-control, if it gets out of control, it becomes din in the bad sense. It becomes just wanting to rule, control, get nitpicky about everything everyone does. So the limitation that we need is Shechem. Shechem is we have a job to do. We have avoda, we have a mission to do. But you need to be careful in Shechem because as you say, I'm doing it, so many bad qualities can come in. It's me. And don't step in my way. You're getting my way. I'm going to get angry at you. Or, for example, I'm more nitpicky. I'm more controlling because I'm not live and let live. I have my boundaries. Now watch how this works. This is just fascinating when you think about it. The story of Dinah. What happened? It's a sad story. The Kabbalists talk about this so deep and so amazing. I can't say all the things because some of them are beyond things that we could talk about. But we know one reason it says that Yaakov, that this happened to Dinah. Obviously, when something happens, it happens on many levels. But Yaakov's problem with it says that Yaakov hid Dinah. He put her in a box when they came to meet Esav. He didn't want Esav to see her, put her in a box. And that it was bizarre. When your daughter can marry this evil guy and you're punished because of that. Obviously, Dinah had to have her own things, which we'll discuss in a minute. But what did Yaakov do wrong? I mean, yeah, of course you prevent your daughter from marrying your evil brother. So the sages tell us that Dinah was actually his soulmate. We talked about years before that really Leah could have been a soulmate, but he didn't take that. So he was now going to get his second level soulmate based on the actions. And that person would have been Dinah. Dinah could have changed Esav. Now, why could she change Esav? What's her name? Dinah. Din. Judgment. It says that Leah made a judgment. I don't want to have another tribe to my daughter I'd have more than my sister wouldn't even have 2 kids. So she's made a judgment, din. But that's not an accident. Dinah became the epitome of din, of limitation, of boundaries. That's really who she became. And Esav, who we said was controlled in the negative sense, she could have changed him. She really could have, because she was the master of that, creating the boundaries. She could have changed Esav. And that was the problem. Yaakov didn't allow this. Now, I'm going to reveal a little bit of stuff that's a little bit beyond what we can say here, because I have to explain a little bit how this maybe happened to Dinah. Whatever it means, it says that she went out, she maybe had to protect and guard a little bit more. The sages tell us a very deep thing, that Dinah had an aspect of the soul of Chava. Shechem is called Shechem HaChivi. Chivi in Aramaic means the serpent. Chivi is a serpent. And literally what happened with Dinah in a certain sense was what happened back in the Gan Eden with Chava. The only thing was here that the Kabbalists tell us, the mystics tell us, that she pulled out whatever good was remaining in Shechem. He was like the serpent, and that's what all of a sudden he realized he wanted Dinah. He wanted to connect to Dinah, which is one of the reasons why the sages say that Yaakov maybe was not going to kill them, because it was like, they're going to circumcise? I saw one person, I haven't seen in a reliable source. I saw one rabbi say that Yaakov was going to fix up Canaan, wanted to fix up the Canaanite people. I haven't seen that in any of the more primary sources. So I don't want to say that exactly, but I have seen clearly that Yaakov thought, wait a minute, that they're different. They want to connect to the Jewish people. There's an amazing thing. It says that the other people, they hate them. If there's something good inside them, they want to connect to them. So that's what happened. So Dinah now pulled out whatever positive aspect there was in this terrible situation that happened from Shechem. Now, what happens to the child? What happens to this child? So the child actually is none other. Well, I'll tell you the story first. There's Medrash before. Medrash says that when the child was born from this defilement of Dinah, the child came out, and Yaakov was afraid the brothers were going to try to kill the child. Embarrassment, whatever. I don't know how they do that, but whatever. Yaakov was afraid something was going to happen, and it says he took this child and he sent the child in various ways. It says down to Egypt with a pennant around her neck, saying, "Whoever connects to this child will connect to the family of Yaakov." Now, this child was adopted in Egypt. By who? By Potiphar, who's going to be Yosef's master. The Medrash says that when Yosef became the viceroy of Egypt, the women were throwing, their jewelry at him, trying to get his attention. And this girl threw the pennant, which I guess she didn't know what it was, according to this, the way Medrash seems. And he found it and he said, "Whoa, this is a daughter of Yaakov." And that was Osnat. According to the Medrash, the child that comes out now is Osnat, which fits in perfectly with what we're saying. What is Shechem? Shechem is the place of the quality of Yosef. That's why he's given Shechem. Dinah is connected with Yosef. They're din. We have a mission. We're going to do this right. Yosef was called the tzaddik. He never made a wrong step. That's why brothers thought he was haughty, because, the other brothers were called Baalei Tshuva. They nullified themselves to God because they made mistakes. Well, who am I? What am I? Yosef is like, I did everything right. I'm din, I'm limit, I'm control. Dinah was control. Shechem was the place of our actions, our control. And therefore, in this great, great place of Shechem, needs the most protection. And that's why Avram prayed there. And that's why Yaakov bought it. The sages say that he bought it and he fixed it. He just didn't fix it in like everything the forefathers did. He planted the seeds and it came out throughout history. So in the terrible story of Dinah, all maybe the reasons, the Kabbalistic reasons of who her soul was, and which she had to pull out still, there's more to that, which I can't reveal. But what did happen there was she pulled out the last remaining sparks of the people of Shechem, and they were wiped out. Yosef then in Shechem, he masters himself, and eventually the other negative thing happens, which is the break from the Jewish people, from the 10 tribes. That also happens in Shechem, because Shechem is the back. It's the place of work. It's the place of I'm a somebody. And therefore, it has in it the potential of the danger of I'm a somebody, and I'll be uptight with you if you're not doing right. I'm going to get angry. I'm going to be picky, I'm going to be controlling. It has that potential because now I'm a somebody. What I did. But that is a crucial place. It's one of the 3 places the Jewish people need to have, because you need to do the work. You need to feel I am important, that I could do the work. Then you have to guard yourself, like Yaakov had prayed that would happen, that when you do the work and when you become something, that you also are able to nullify yourself to the greater good, the klal, the whole, the people, not separate from them, but become part of the people, not break away and make your own tribes. No, nullify to the Yeravam. When he left, he became haughty. He said, I can't nullify. The reason why the Jews would be told us many times, the reason why the Jews weren't allowed to go down to Jerusalem, to the temple, because he said, I'm going to have to sit. When it comes to go to the temple, the law is only person from the tribe of David, from tribe of Judah, king from David, can sit in the Azara. I can't sit. So they're going to laugh and say, I'm not the real king. I got to have my own power. And these things led to that negative ability to nullify himself to the Jewish people, become a bass player, become somebody who could sing in the background. Don't put yourself in the front. In our world, we think that it's the greatest ththing. In the Jewish world, it's not considered the greatest thing. I know people have this crazy idea. We'll talk about in our women's class, but the idea of kvod vas melch pnima, the grandeur of the daughter of the king is the internal world. That in our society is considered to be nothing. Tzniut, you don't push yourself. It's bad. It's not. That's not how we think about the world. We think about the world as though that I'm creating, I still have to mishtalev, I still have to combine and be able to support the greater picture. I have to nullify myself to Hashem. That's the dynamic that we're in. It's a very hard job. And that is why Yaakov wanted to create Shechem, to make sure we can do the work, become somebody, become a separate entity, and still be connected fully to Hashem. Okay? Thank you all.